Institute, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India. I extend a warm welcome to all of you to today's webinar on startup opportunities. And for this webinar, we are in collaboration with iHub and SSIP and Government of Gujarat. I will be the session moderator today. And my name is Vaishali Mitra. I work as a faculty at EDII Ahmedabad. EDII Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India is an autonomous and not-for-profit institution. It was established in 1983. And so you can imagine that more than for last three decades, it is relentlessly working, catering to the entrepreneurial need of the country. EDII runs its 2 years PGDM course in entrepreneurship. And apart from that, it has also helped set 12 state level centers which was exclusively for entrepreneurship development centers. And it is also, it has made a mark in the international arena where across in different countries across the world, EDII organizes several training programs and share resources. And it has received accolades from World Bank, Commonwealth Secretariat, British Council, Ford Foundation, European Union, Asian Secretariat, and several other renowned institutions. So you can see that it is actually a reservoir of entrepreneurship knowledge. And we have our eminent panelists today with us who will share from this reservoir of knowledge. And we all know that we are running through a crisis, and suddenly overnight everything has changed. We are not the same people that we used to be because of this pandemic. Our perception has changed, our priorities have changed, and our style of living, style of working, everything has changed. And we are anxious not just for our lives and not just for our health. We are also anxious for a massive economic disaster worldwide. Experts and researchers are already predicting that it is the scenario, economic situation is really going to be very, very bleak, and India is not going to be different from that. And there would be joblessness, there would be unemployment would be at its peak, and there would be layoff, different sectors of the industry would be closed down. So I think in this scenario, these two words, entrepreneurship and startup, would actually hold the key for survival, and it would help us sustain in our world. And as I said, our eminent speakers today, the panelists, would give you a very wide and broad perspective on startup and entrepreneurship. So let me introduce our panelists over here. We have with us Mr. Mayank Patel, and he is the CEO of CrAdLE, and CrAdLE is the incubation center at EDII, and it's a center for advancing and launching enterprises.
Hello, everyone.
And hello, Mayank, sir. Welcome. And I'm sure your wisdom and expertise will really enrich all of us. And we also have with us Mr. Neel Panchal. And listening to Neel would be listening from the horse's mouth, because he is the alumnus and of EDII, and he is also a founder of the startup LHP Nano Technologies LLP. And with this, let us start the discussion. And we are already getting a lot of questions in the Q&A sections. So what I would do is, I have picked up a few questions from there. So let us begin in a question answer mode. And we will try our level best to answer all the queries. And through the discussion, you will get to know hopefully all that you would like to know about startups. So Mayank, sir, we will begin the discussion with you. And if you can just let us know what is a startup, and why would you recommend youngsters to be a startup founder?
Oh, this is a very interesting question. Startup is an entity which is driven, is a technology driven business. And Technology innovation is at the heart of the startup. It if we look at the technical definition, the turnover has to be less than 100 crore. Life of the startup has to be less than 10 years. But important thing is the technology innovation has to be there. So this is a startup.
Okay, and do you think startup can reduce the burn rate and lengthen the runway?
I believe that they will have to do it in these trying times. They will have to manage their cash flow in a very wise manner so that they don't burn up cash. They have to assume that for the next 6 months, 8 months, they are not going to have any revenue or any increase in the revenue. Also, they are not going to, they need to assume that they will not be able to raise any investment very easily for next 1 year. Assuming this, they need to plan their cash flow. That's why the need to reduce the burn rate, and in that process lengthen the runway of survival and taking off.
All right. And maybe we can hear from Neil at this point. And you can just tell us about your experiences. So what is your startup and what are the challenges startups usually face in normal circumstances?
Hello everyone, and my name is Neil, and actually, right now, my startup is into nanotechnologies. So we are basically dealing with the nanomaterials. Specifically, it's graphene. It is world's first two-dimensional material, and we are developing this material on large scales for specific applications. So, as you have asked me about the what are the challenges the startups usually faces, uh, from my experience, I would say there are some points that I would like to share with. The first point is the financial thing, the money. So it is the very crucial and a very important point that is to be taken care of. Well, anyone gets into the startup thing. The secondary is the time management, because sometimes it happens that you have a very good idea, but if but there is the time is not yet come for that idea. So we'll have to look for the right time to implement those ideas. The third point I would like to say is about the lack of mentorship. Sometimes it happens that you may have a great product or a great idea, but the lack of necessary guidance and the market experiences and knowledge, it it will be difficult to take this thing to the next level. uh, the one more the other point is that the competitors, that is a very crucial point, because no matter how the great your product or your services are, it it is a crowded marketplace, so it's always going to grow, and you'll have to take all the things together and work towards it parallelly.
Okay. And I just can see in the message box that someone is asking that uh, can you help us with some idea? So do you think mentors or teachers or guide can help anyone with an idea, or does it have to be a inherent passion when you form an idea and then you start your start
Yes,
the startup way?
to be honest, the ideas generates from itself, because you'll just have to keep your mind and your eye open at the same time, and you'll have to just look around you. Then you will get the ideas, and it will be a very it's a very good I would say it's a very uh, exact way to find the ideas, because mentors and guidances will be helpful. I won't say that it won't be helpful, but it will just help you to push your ideas further, but ideas that will generate inherently.
If I
Yeah,
interject at this
yes.
stage, what I have generally seen is that entrepreneurs or startup founders are very keen observer of
Yes.
problems that government may be facing or consumers may be facing or businesses are facing, and they offer a solution to that problem involving a technology innovation. and they create an opportunity to come out with a business with repeated solution of the same problem, right? And this is an idea converted into a business. This is how generally idea comes. Mentors don't give you
Mm-hmm.
idea. There is nothing like selling of idea, or no, come to me, I will tutor you of how to find an idea. There is nothing like that.
All right, thank you, sir. And this next question was also, I was thinking of Neil while asking this question, but then anyone can, give your advice. So, what do startups expect from their stakeholders? Like, there is this entire gamut of stakeholders, like employees and investors and bankers and customers and service providers, vendors. So, as a startup founder, what do you expect from these stakeholders?
I would say, if you ask me, if as a startup perspective, I would uh, say that stakeholders are first the investors who would invest in you, in your ideas and your vision and your dreams. And you'll have to make them sure about what is your vision, and you will have to make them realize that this is the idea that is going to happen, and you'll have to take them together. So I guess sir will also add on his
Mm-hmm.
I generally believe that at present, the expectation is that believe in the startup, believe in us. This is what an expectation a startup founder will have. He will simply expect the employees to believe in him and continue remaining employee, continue work. He expects the same thing from a banker or investor or service provider, that please continue faith in me. I'm going to no, continue working. I'm going to survive, and we will together, we in the sense all the stakeholders together will come out with flying colors post COVID-19. This is, I think, a
Mm-hmm.
minimum expectation any startup founder would be having.
And what would be the role of the government over here? I mean, there are sometimes what you expect the government to do, or most often there are several schemes and policies, especially now with the present government to boost and foster startup and entrepreneurship in the country. But people hardly get to know about this. So, if you can just put some light in this.
It's very interesting here. Government has reach out to startup founders, startup enthusiasts with the problems, and saying that if you can solve this problem, it will contribute in fight against COVID-19. But at the same time, government's fiscal measures supporting businesses has largely been focused on larger businesses, more organized businesses. So I believe government at this stage can come out with some kind of support specifically directed to startups. And support here means not only expecting startups to come out with a product to fight COVID-19, but also to offer financial support in a very on a very broader scale to startups. Government has done a fantastic job. They have appointed sign of IIT Bombay as a nodal agency to and have launched something called Kavach. This is a
Okay.
scheme where all startups which are coming out with a solution to fight COVID-19 can reach out to sign IIT Bombay and offer their solution, and they will pick up uh, startup ideas to fund further. This is what government is doing, but this is what government can do also additionally.
Neil, what does your experience say about this?
uh, till now, what I have experienced and what I would expect from government is that though the government has done a very good job, and they have developed such an ecosystem that they are actually helping the startups or the innovators who would like to take risk, and would like to become a job provider. Fine. So there are some schemes that government is right now supporting, like Startup India scheme, where the easy funding supports are available. The documentation and the documentation process has also become little bit liberal, and the mentorship and R&D facility supports are also given by the government. And they have
Mm-hmm.
also done some good they have also developed some policies where the exemptions for a certain period of time for the certain startups has been provided for to the startups. So yes, they are doing that job, but there is some more thing that should be taken care of. Like Sir has said that um, there is much more that government could do to nurture or to back the startups, because this time is very crucial and it is a very delicate time. So it has to be
Mm-hmm.
taken care by government.
Right. And even I would like to know, and I can see all the questions over here. So let's bring COVID-19 in, which is the
Yeah.
pandemic that is really, changing everything overnight almost. And so it is, I would like even Mayank sir's input as well as Neil, what you think about it. So how does it likely to, change the face of the startup, and what would be the new challenges, or is it like we turn the challenge into an opportunity rather?
Um, the challenges is like, if you see the, as you have rightly said, the pattern of the behavioral pattern, the lifestyle that has dramatically changed over this from last this a couple of months. And I would see, though there are so many things that has changed, and the opportunities, I guess, that has come out in a very different ways. Because if you see that people right now sitting in homes, and they just wanted to spend that time, and they are on their mobiles, and they are using smartphones in a very extensively. So I would see there are so many opportunities in this challenging time that are available, that are there, but we just need to just see and just pick that strike. And yes, that these challenges could be turned into a very good opportunities from my side.
Okay.
I
And
believe that,
Mayank sir?
yeah, yeah, I believe that there is a fantastic opportunities for startups. If you have seen it, uh, there are certain startups which are into non-discretionary expense space, like food or food delivery or medicine delivery or education technology startups. These startups have seen tremendous demand increase
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
of the nature of their services. At the same time, there will be some startups, if they are into, let's say, discretionary expenses of consumers. Let's say a startup which is into automobiles, they will see a significant challenge in their sales. So I see there are positive signs also for startups. Startups can offer solutions, and startups are already offering solutions of working from home or similar problems are being solved. In that case, again, the startups will thrive. I recently came across a challenge. Some incubation company has announced this challenge that if we can find out a solution for Zoom. Zoom is not an Indian product,
Yeah.
so if an Indian startup can come up with a product similar to Zoom, everybody will be safe. There is a lot of safety concern. So there are a lot of opportunities available if you look at it. Nobody had heard of Zoom perhaps few days back. Everybody is using Zoom. Now everybody is looking for a solution or an alternative to Zoom also. So there are problems. If you find a solution, there is a business available.
Yeah.
So from that, I can understand that it is not so bad to have a problem, because the source of a problem would be an opportunity, actually. Is what,
Absolutely. The
yeah.
problem is the beginning of an enterprise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what change in the pattern of startup investment do you foresee?
I foresee tremendous pressure on the startup founders to reduce their expenses. One, it may also happen that investors may withdraw for next 1 year. Investment may not come so easily. I came across at least three
Mhm.
instances where investors had withdrawn from term sheets, signed term sheets, and they decided not to invest after a negotiation of more than close to 6 months. So this may happen. At the same time, as I said, there are startups which are going to benefit from this situation, and the investment in those startups will jump. All the investors will be looking for it. We had one startup which is into medical air systems. That startup has got a lot of inquiry from investors. So this is the plus and minus both. But if you are not able to offer solutions in this COVID-19 situation, then you will have a tough time in raising fund.
Okay. And are business models of a startup likely to change?
Oh, yes. Business models of the startups are also likely to change. Startups which believe that, okay, let's have all the employees at one place and they work together, and let's have a team, working team. Let's rent out a place for our office. These situations are going to change. Startups will not look for office spaces. They will have employees working from home as far as possible. That's one change. Second, they will be speaking a lot to their stakeholders. I was reading a news that Cars 24, this is one of the startup which is into pre-use cars. This startup has offered salary cut along with employee stock option plan. So whichever employee accepts salary cut will be offered shares of the company. So this kind of changes in business model will have to be brought in, because startup need to sustain. So they need to reduce expenses. At the same time, they need to maintain employee strength. They need to continue serving the customers. So this kind of changes will come.
Okay. And there are a lot of queries about loans for startup. So from your expertise, or even what Neel has faced, if you can just tell certain platforms where people, because sometimes idea is there, but it's the money that
Correct.
becomes an issue.
Loan to startups are only available if they have a sales and some
Okay.
kind of a sales history. Let's say 3 months or 6 months of sales. Without sales, the loan will not be available to startups. What can possibly available is something called convertible loan. So the loan is offered with an understanding that after a few years, the loan will be converted into equity investment in the startup. But if a startup is at a very early stage where the product is under experimentation, it is being developed, there is no sales, I don't think that startup will be able to secure loan from any bank.
All right. Neel, would you like to pitch about anything over here?
Yes, the sir has said what it is rightly said about the loans and things. But if you are having a very good idea and a very innovative idea and things, then government is there to help you out for just for the pre-seed kind of thing, where you are getting some good amount of grants, where you can start doing your business, start putting your efforts, and just start doing things. So as far as the loan and things are concerned, if you have having a sales rightly, so as rightly said, that then and then only you are going to get loans and things. But if you are just starting from the zero, then yes, some government's good schemes are there, that they are providing some grants and some benefits to the startups to back them, and just to make their dreams come true in the reality.
All right. I hope that helps people who are listening to both of you. And there is one very interesting question, and I feel I would be curious to listen your answers. How to get first 1,000 customers? I mean, I feel it's very subjective and depends on one skill to persuasion. But what do you make out of these questions? I mean, how to get first 1,000 customers?
um, for the first 1000 customers, it's basically, it depends on the business or the idea, business to business, because it's not a very similar way. Every business has a very difficult or a very different equations. So yes, but I would say for the first at least 1000 customers, you will only a startup founder, or who has worked on his dream or her dream, should get his or her first 1,000 customers for by her or himself, which could make their idea and their business into the market, and their networking will become much more stronger.
Okay, I
All
think
right.
this
Yeah.
is a very important question. Getting first 1,000 customers. There are certain things behind these questions also. Let me highlight it.
Mhm.
One is that this question is generally comes from the consumer startup. startups where they are directly meeting the consumers. Generally, they have this challenge of having first 1,000 customers. This first 1,000 customers are also the people who are experimenting with some different kind of a solution or a business model. They are the first people who show some kind of a faith in the startup. So it's very important to have them. But at the same time, startups have a big challenge. It's not so easy for consumer startups to have 1,000 customers. What generally happens is, in the situations, my experience of my reading says is that most of the time the startup founder himself is on the ground, on the road, on the streets, in customers' office, selling the minimum viable product or service that they have created. It is this effort of startup founders. They don't have generally rely on startup salespersons or sales team to get this, acquire this 1,000 customers. They have to do it themselves. If you read Bhavish Agarwal of Ola, he did that. Ritesh Agarwal of Oyo also did that. Everybody does that. You have to do it. And that is also a learning for startup founders here. Learning in terms of what the customers are looking for, what kind of problems customers are facing, and whether their solution is appropriate or not, or it needs to be modified, changed based on the feedback that the first 1,000 customer gives. Right? That's why it's very important. But the only way of getting first 1,000 customer is meet the customer directly. Go ahead, meet him, call him. For first 1,000 customers, perhaps a startup founder will have to meet 5,000 individuals or 10,000 individuals, out of which 20%, 10% would show some kind of interest, and they will buy the product and become the customer.
That really gives clarity. Even I wasn't getting the question properly. And I have seen many people actually joined a bit later. So probably if I ask you, what is the scope of startup in India and what is the need in future? It's taking us to the discussion that we already have, but then if you can just, give a general comment on that.
Tremendous scope for startups in India, because there are huge numbers of problems that government has, consumers has, businesses has, and you solve the problem, you get a business. So I think that's a tremendous scope.
Okay, and anything to as that we can actually look at the question answer uh, box, and many people are over
Yeah,
here asking for their particular business ideas, and I believe for that you have to visit EDII
correct.
to
In
get
fact,
validated.
I have tried to answer by
Yeah,
typing
yeah.
simultaneously to some of the questions,
Okay,
but
fantastic. But if
it's not
anything
possible
that
to answer
you,
all of them. I think
yeah,
answer 18 questions so far, but
okay, all
35
right.
questions are there in front of me. I don't think it is possible to answer all the
So
questions.
if anything remaining, that we can, even the
Yes.
emails, the panelists might reach them. But what would be your overall concluding remark? Or you can even choose both Neil and Mayank sir from the Q&A box. And if you
Yeah,
feel any
I
relevant
choose.
questions,
Yes,
yeah,
I choose this question. There is somebody from Manipur has asked this
okay,
question, Northeast India.
yeah, yeah.
Sir, I am a BTech final year mechanical engineering student from Manipur. I wanna be an entrepreneur, right? I don't have any idea to do. Please suggest some idea. This is a very typical question, and I really hits off that we have somebody from Manipur also on this webinar. First, second thing is, this question reminds me of our alumnus. One alumnus we had a few years back was from Manipur, Ayrton, and he studied with us in EDII, and after studying he started a company in Ahmedabad. He didn't went back to Manipur immediately. He for 2 years he started a company which was into jeans, the regular apparel that everybody wears. He did it very good, and then he moved back to Manipur to join his family business. So my answer to this gentleman, BTech final year mechanical engineering student from Manipur, is that find a problem that Manipur people has, businesses have. Can you solve that problem? If you can solve that problem, ask for payment of that solution, and you have a business ready. Right? That is the idea. That is how you work on your idea. So
So
this is how it is. Neil can also pick one question from the list, and
yeah,
you can
and
also
from what
suggest us.
from Mayank sir, what you said, I can feel that it's always better to look around you. You know, it's very
Yes,
indigenous or local problems that you have. If
yes.
you
Or
think
sometimes
of solving that, yeah.
yes, we also have a lot of problems in
Hmm.
day-to-day life, and the same
Exactly,
problems can be
exactly.
there faced by many people. So if you solve one problem, and you have a startup.
Uh, I would like to take one question from this Abdul Wajid Mohammed. My question is to Neil that from where his startup got financial assistance, what are the necessary documents required for the financial support? So I would like to say that I got my first financial support from government of Gujarat, where I'm an incubatee of EDI CrAdLE. So we just need to submit our proposal to any of the incubation center. Then from there the filtration and screening processes starts, and from that screening processes your startup or your idea will go further. And if you talk about the documents, you just have to make LLP or in a private limited form, and you just need to open up a bank account, current account, and things. So when you get selected for your idea, and then the government will give you the grant, and the money that will be transferred to your company bank account, and that's how the whole things works. And if you can also visit Startup India website, where you will find all the relative necessary things which is essential to you to get benefit from this scheme.
Okay, and I hope that helps. And there is two questions that I can see. And what steps should we consider while doing market research? Even Mayank sir can give his input over here.
Correct, correct. Market research is one of the most important and very early step that any startup founder should be doing it. The purpose of market research is to check whether the product or services that you are offering, is it actually solving the problem of the consumer or not? If it is solving the problem, what is the price that the consumer is ready to pay? If it is not solving the problem sufficiently or satisfactorily, what modifications, what changes in the product or services are required? These are the few initial, very basic questions related to product or service, startup product or services, which gets addressed through market research. Through market research also you can rope in, if you do a market research very passionately, very deeply, in that case the first 1000 customers also we may be coming, some of the customers of the first 1000 may be coming from the market research attempt only. That's why market research is important, and it has to be planned. The time of and the scope of this webinar is so limited that I cannot explain the details of how market research can be done, but it has to be done with these objectives in mind.
Okay, and another question goes, what are the legal procedures to initiate a startup?
Legal procedures,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
a
guess
start
registration is.
registration. Generally, a
Yeah.
startup has to be either a registered partnership firm or a limited liability partnership or a private limited company. You have to approach a registered company secretary to create a legal form of the business. It takes generally expenses can be anywhere from 5,000 to 30,000 rupees, and there are certain compliance requirement also you will have to fulfill.
Okay, and if you would like to answer anything else from the Q&A, because a lot of them are asking uh, to suggest what will be the right
Yeah,
opportunity after COVID. So,
yeah. I have this question from one Mr. Vinod Kumawat from Srijan Entrepreneurship Cell Indore, and the question is, what
mhm.
is the best age to start startup? I think there is no right age to start a startup. But generally, I believe that if you are starting a startup at a very early age, I think less than 30 years of age, it's an appropriate. But at the same time, I have seen startup founders who are in late 30s, who are in mid 40s, and people start a business or a startup in their 60s also. We have one startup, Charge Zone. There are three founders in this startup. The oldest founder is 63-year-old. The second founder is 53-year-old, and the third founder is 43-year-old. And they
Okay.
have come out to come together to start this business, this startup. So there is no right age, I believe. But when you are younger, less than 30 years of age, it's appropriate.
Okay. And all
There
right.
is another
And
question also. I think Abdul Wajid Mohammed has asked how to get the angel investors to a startup if we
yeah,
cannot
yeah.
get any
And
investors.
at the same time, sir, there's bootstrapping, angel investors, venture
Correct, correct,
capitalists, these ideas, if you can just keep,
correct.
explaining a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Angel investors are generally the individuals who are passionate about investing in startup. They are generally the first generation entrepreneurs. Also, they made their money hard way, and they have a passion to support somebody who is first generation entrepreneur himself or herself. If you want to approach angel investors, there are networks of angel investors in India also, outside India also. You can check one network, Indian Angel Network. There is another Ahmedabad-based angel investors network called Ahmedabad Angels also. If you are from Mumbai, there is a Mumbai Angel Network. Uh, there is Chennai Angels also. I met somebody from Chandigarh who was running Chandigarh Angel Network as well. So look out this kind of names, find out in your city, and approach them, meet them, present your idea to them, right? That will be a good source of funding for your idea.
Hmm. And maybe you can explain a little bit about the startup ecosystem. What does this phrase signify, and how does a startup ecosystem support, startups in the current scenario or even otherwise?
Startup ecosystem comprises of entities around startups which are supporting or working with the startup. One of the most important element of this ecosystem is incubators, accelerators. They work with the startups in converting their idea to a viable business, viable product and business. They mentor startups, they help startup in raising fund, they sometimes invest in startups also, they help them recruit people, they help them find out customers, they help them reach out to service providers, vendors. They also offer them office space in the initial period to start their operations. They connect them with technology mentors also. Then there is VC firms also. This is another important element of startup ecosystem. They generally invest in mature startup. Their investment generally starts from 7 crore plus. And then there is government, which is very critical element also of startup ecosystem. Across India, almost all state governments have come out with various schemes to support startup. So find out if in your respective state, what is the government doing for startups. Read about the schemes, reach out to government agencies spearheading the initiative, and then you will get a lot of positive response from startups, from government, sorry. So this is the critical elements of the ecosystems of startup is.
Okay, and there is a question which says why most of startups fail. And failure is very common in startup, but
Right,
how do you motivate these youngsters or anyone who would like
correct,
to?
correct. The reason most of the startup fail is sometimes they have not analyzed the problem whose solution that they are suggesting, and they are highly optimistic uh, that they can do a lot of things without understanding the market, understanding the competitive scenario. Sometimes they are ahead of the time also. This is very unfortunate that they have identified the problem before it occurs and there is a solution, but the problem is not there, so nobody is interested in paying for solution. So these are the principal reasons why startups fail. I would like to highlight here is that startups do not fail because of lack of fund. That's the least, lowest ranked reason that startups fail.
Okay, and there is also a question like how important is geography when you found a startup?
Geography is important when you found when you are starting a startup. I have seen many times startup founders have to migrate in order to ensure the survival of the startup also. So, for example, I'm not saying, let's say if you're coming from tier 2 or tier 3 city and you have a fantastic startup idea, apparently at some point of time, you may think of moving to, let's say, Bangalore or NCR or even Ahmedabad also and work on your startup. So that geography is important, I believe.
Okay. And can we take direct questions from audience over here, Harneet?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Maybe one or two direct questions where they can speak to the panelists if they wish to.
ma'am. They can drop in their queries in Q&A section, so that
Okay. Oh, okay. Then it's fine. We are
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
answering. The panelists are answering from the Q&A section.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And anything else to conclude, both Neil and Mayank sir, or any interesting question that you feel a little repetitive questions are there, but
I would like to yeah, highlight here and emphasize
mhm,
here that
yeah.
it's because of the time we are not able to address all the questions that you have. I see there are some 65 questions on my screen. I'm sure I will not be able to address it in one day also. So there is a time scope because of which we are not able to address your question. But uh, I like to say it here also: be persistent in whatever you are doing. Believe in yourself. These are tough time, but then tough people see through the tough time. So if you have a startup idea, if you have a problem identified that you for which you can offer a solution, I think keep working on it. If not today, keep in mind sometime later also. If you suggest a solution, there is a potential to come up with an enterprise. This is most important thing, I believe. If you are a startup founder running a startup, looking for funding, be prepared to face tough situations for next 9 to 12 months. Do not get disconnected from your customers. They are the most important people for you. If you have customers, satisfied customers giving you repeat orders, in that case, investors would come back to you, employees will come back to you, bankers will find you out to offer you loan, but there has to be customers. Don't lose their sight. Stay in touch with them.
Yes.
Okay, maybe your comments or remarks, Neil. And as you wind up, I would like you to mention from very personal experiences, maybe a point where failure was a tension, or has it been a smooth sailing all the way through, or what were the pain points that you solved?
I would say it's difficult when you see when you go through some difficult times, and when it depresses you and it makes it difficult for you to move further. But yes, one thing that everyone one who is chasing their dreams and chasing their visions has to keep in mind that persistence and having faith in yourself make thing very much smoother in the longer run. No matter how hard it is, it will be a smooth and sunshine in tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. And with
I
that,
will
I think, yeah, anything
I would
else?
also like to thank all 100 plus participants that we see here right now. Thank you very much for sparing your time on a Friday evening and being with us. We'll be happy to help you if you have any startup idea which you think you needs support. Do visit our website. I have mentioned it in many other places also, many other answers also. CrADLE-edii.in. Visit
So
our
there,
website edii.india.org also. You
There's
have a lot
always
of
already a query that, sir, can I join EDII incubation?
yes,
Yes.
yes. Please,
If I'm
yeah. Please give your information on our website. We collect our information about potential startup founders through website. Visit it, and we will reach out to you individually.
And with that, I thank you very much. I thank the panelists and everyone over here. Thank you being here with us. And please remember that this is actually only the first webinar of a series of webinars that are going to happen every Friday. And stay tuned. And your certificates would be mailed to you in a few days' time. And think of starting something, think of adding to the entrepreneurial quotient of your country. Stay safe, stay protected. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much.